Hey guys, I'm back, and I got something cool to share with you guys. I was browsing LinkedIn, and I came across this article, the Checklist Manifesto to Teams Like a Rockstar. Now, this is written by Hikmat, happens to be my colleague here, and it's got some interesting insights on how you can improve your fidelity with teams using it in your meetings. And I was going to walk you through this, but I think it would be best to hear from him directly. So let's just jump into a Teams meeting and let's get Hikmat on the line. All right. Hello.
Hey, Denzel. How are you doing?
I am doing well. I hear you well. Let me share something with you. I was browsing LinkedIn and I ran into an article here called the Checklist Manifesto to Teams Like a Rockstar. And you seem to be the author of this, coincidentally. So I thought, what better way to learn about this than just asking you? So before we begin, I was wondering maybe if you could just introduce yourself to folks who might be watching.
Yeah, hey, Denzel. So, as you know, I'm a Teams technical specialist based in Ottawa. So, I've been with Microsoft for almost a year now. Before that, I was at Cisco, where I spent almost 9 years, based in Ottawa too. And my focus has been a lot on public sector and the Canadian federal government. Now, the reason I wrote this article is, the biggest challenge I've seen is when people are joining those Teams meetings or calls, they're just calling out of Teams, they've been experiencing a lot of issues, and some of those issues can be easily handled. So it's a checklist where if you go over those 10 steps, you can just tilt odds to your favor. And it's about making sure that whatever is on your end is has been checked so that it can perform up to a certain quality. So that was the reason I wrote it. Again, it's a checklist that can ensure that you have a better call quality or a better experience joining those Teams meetings.
I love it. I love high fidelity. I like high fidelity meetings, and I would love for you to maybe just walk us through these 10 steps in your own words. So perhaps if you have a link to the article, or if you probably remember it by heart since you've written it, maybe you could introduce the steps 1, 2, 3, 4 and help me, understand this a bit better. I'm going to be eating, if that's okay with you. Yeah.
Oh, Denzel, you're making a lot of noise, my friend.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, no,
I get hungry in my
no,
meetings.
no worries. Yeah. But you know what? I'll show you something since you just did that. So I have here a couple papers. Okay, you can see them both. I'll do the same thing you did. I'll crumble them, but then tell me if you hear anything.
I need to buy that paper. Where's that paper
Yeah,
from? Staples?
it's I wish it was about the paper, but it's about the technology, right? So there is a set of technologies that we use through software and hardware that actually I'll be covering in one of those checklists. But that's great. Tips like that are really what makes a difference in joining those calls and getting this better experience. So now to go over the checklist. So call quality comes from three different aspects, and that was part of the introduction. So you have the endpoint, you have the network, and you have the Office 365 service. Now, to start off, the service, you probably don't have control over that. There might be an outage. Unfortunately, usually we don't have a lot of outages. Our SLA is more than 99.9. So it's something, even if it happens, you don't have control over it. The other thing you don't have control over is the other end. I mean, I might come with an amazing connection and amazing quality, but if someone else is joining with a degraded quality, I mean, it will degrade the call, but at the same time, I mean, you can't control that. So what I'll be covering here is, again, things we can control. Now, talking about endpoints, network, and Office 365 service. Now, the first couple steps are on the endpoint, and then we dive a little bit deeper on the network side.
Just
Now,
so
on the network
endpoint,
side, yeah.
endpoint was my computer, was the Teams. What do you mean by endpoint?
Great question, Denzel. So I'll cover that in a little bit more details. But before I do that, just to talk on the network side, we're gonna be focused here on someone working remotely and connecting through the internet. But we won't be covering corporate networking, where there might be like firewall rules and quality of service, and maybe they can come up with split tunneling approach for people working from home. There are a lot of things that can be done. But again, the focus of this checklist, someone working from home or working at the coffee shop or wherever he is, and connecting to those meetings or doing calls. Now, to answer your question on the endpoint, so that actually comes to the first step. You can bring it up.
Sure. Let's take a look at this. So it says check your endpoint and client readiness.
Amazing. Yeah. So the first point is software and hardware. So from a software perspective, it's really simple things like make sure you have up-to-date software, whether it's peripherals, it's your webcam, your microphone, your speaker, wherever you're connected to, and most importantly, the Teams client. Now, the good news, as you know, Denzel, that Teams clients are updated automatically. I mean, you don't need to, I mean, you can check for updates, but usually they are done bi-weekly on the desktop client, and on the web app, it's done weekly. So you're good on that sense.
Right.
On the hardware side, this is where it becomes a little bit more challenging. What we've seen, and this is something we heard of, is the CPU hog. Right? I don't know if you've experienced that. Have you experienced that?
Yes. I've experienced it personally myself, and I've heard from a lot of customers and friends who've used Teams and said Teams is the CPU memory hog.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the good news, as you know, I mean, we're enhancing that on a daily basis. A lot of things are coming up, but just in case, whether it's Teams or OBS or any application you have is hogging CPU or memory, there are ways where we can offload some of this processing power to other like GPUs or other CPUs, like in case you have multiple. Now,
Gotcha.
in my case, I'll tell you, I have a Surface Laptop 3, sorry, a Surface Book 3. And in the Book 3, we have an additional GPU, an NVIDIA GTX. So what I've been doing is I've been offloading some of that processing power from my central CPU to that GPU. And it's been improving my experience drastically. And even as you recall, when I first met you, you were all over OBS, and
Yeah.
I also did.
That's
Yeah,
true,
so I
and
also uploaded
it is a hog. It did demand a lot of
exactly.
resources. So tell me
Yes.
how would someone enable this? Is it like you got to do something to your computer? Is it done inside Microsoft
Yeah.
Teams?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can open your, okay, you're on a browser. But anyways, on Windows, you can go through the graphic properties, and there are a few steps over there that you can do, that you can just select. Oh, this is on the Teams side. So on the Teams side, this button needs to be unchecked. Yeah, if you go
Okay.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you press it, it disables GPU hardware acceleration. Okay,
Okay.
so you don't need to press it. You need to keep it unchecked.
Unchecked.
On the
Okay.
Windows side, there are a few things you can do because, again, you need to tell the Windows to push it to the GPU. So there are a couple steps that needs to be done, but on the team side, what you showed is what needs to be done.
Okay. Is it easy to do what I need to do on the Windows side? Maybe I could try it right now, or
I mean, if you want, if you can,
sure. Can you
if
walk me through this? I can bring up my Windows settings, or is that where you
yes,
need to go?
yeah, the graphic settings, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go settings on my computer. Okay, let me bring up the settings app, and is that let me just remove the browser here for a second so you could see. So that's my settings. I'm just overlaying it over you. So I'm going to click on system. Am I in the right spot for this? Is this
Yeah, exactly. So then you go down to graphic settings.
okay?
Let me see. Yeah, see, it's here, hardware accelerated GPU. So if you turn it on,
Okay. I'll save that for another day. I do have
yeah,
because
and
we
then
were running into so many issues. Did invest in a graphics card in there, but having turned this on probably give me more juice and power in my meetings as well. So the
yeah,
folks,
yeah. If you notice down, if you go like downward, yeah. So you see there's the application that you need to, and this is where you pick up, say, Teams, OBS, any application that's hogging
gotcha.
some CPU. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Thanks for showing us that, Hikmat. Okay,
Oh, okay.
so we started off. So one step to be a rock star is, of course, is do you update your client and make sure your hardware, if you're using GPU, you can offload it or onload it depending on your system. What would be the next step that we could do in here? Says something
Yeah.
about like today you're
Yeah.
talking
Certainly.
and we
Yeah.
did
So
this earlier.
yeah, not we're not here yet. So second step is make sure you invest in a certified Teams peripheral. So as you know, I mean, we're both Teams technical specialists, and one of the things we're surprised with is a lot of people are joining those meetings and they don't have a Teams certified endpoint. I mean, why? I mean, you might ask me why wouldn't I get like a regular headset or I don't know, a regular webcam?
Yeah. What about those Apple
Yeah,
iPods?
exactly. So the reason is, as you know, like Microsoft invested so much, and a lot. The program is extremely rigorous, and it sets the bar extremely high, so that those devices needs to be tested to meet certain quality metrics in terms of audio quality, video quality, and so on. In
Makes
addition,
sense.
some of those endpoints actually have native integration with Teams. So they come with a button that if you press it, it directly opens the Teams client. There are other endpoints where you can get some light notifications on. For example, if you're in a meeting, they just turned red. And then if you're walking or someone is passing by, he knows that you're in a meeting, so he doesn't interrupt you because he sees the red light. There are other integrations, for example, as well with notifications. If you get a missed call, it can turn to purple as an example, and then you know you have a missed call. So, I mean, the main reason, Denzel, is because we need to ensure a certain level of quality. And if you don't invest in that, again, we have a lot of certified peripherals, and the price range can be big. I mean, you can start from something like, I would say, less costly to something more expensive. So
So my take on this is, would you get into a car that hasn't been certified, take it on the 401, and then just go 100 kilometers, and then expect quality?
exactly.
Maybe for folks who are thinking, why certified? I'm buying another device that's non-certified, same price point, possibly, right? But why that? So maybe, do you want a Rockstar call, or do you want I'm not sure what the other version of Rockstar is, but yeah, something like that. So let's try to keep this moving with the third one. So get certified, make sure your hardware, offload GPU. Those are great points. Now you're not actually using, it doesn't look like you're using any headsets certified today. So I'm going to ask you a little bit more about that, but you seem to have a setup that's a lot different
Yeah,
than.
exactly. But right now, I'll show you. Actually, I do have a certified headset, so I do have an EPOS one.
Oh,
But I'm not using it right now. But I mean,
what are
it's
you
amazing.
using?
There's noise cancellation and a lot of those integrated features that we talked about. But to tell you right now what I'm using the Poly P15.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I'll do a quick demonstration here. So I already showed you the noise cancel. It's called Noise Block AI in this Poly P15 endpoint.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely Teams certified, and it's personal. And this is like, it's probably the P portfolio is for personal devices.
Right.
So now another quick test I can show you here is if I walk around, or if someone is talking to me and he's not in my frame here, the
Yeah.
sound just doesn't come through. So if
Hey,
I
that's
keep
great. I
talking,
got 3 kids at home. Maybe, because they always
yeah,
interrupt me, and then folks could
exactly.
hear that. So what you're describing is that the sound is fencing itself, or somehow it's doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And this is called acoustic fencing. And you can set it to between like narrow and wide, depending on how big your frame, the frame you want. So what I'll be doing right now, just as a quick demonstration, I'll keep talking to you. So let's say
Okay.
I'll do like test 1, 2, 3. I'll keep saying test 1, 2, 3,
Mhm.
and then I'll walk around and you let me know whenever if you keep hearing me or if you stop.
Sure. Don't
Okay?
forget to come back. All right.
Cool. So test 1, 2, 3.
Where's the test? 1, 2, 3. He's gone. Maybe you can still hear me, but I can't hear you. It's you've gone out of frame, out of sound. That's amazing.
Three. Test 1, 2,
Oh
3.
wow! As soon as you came in, it was like instant. No, that's cool. So that's built into the hardware. That's the certification that comes with that. Oh,
Yeah, this is one of the endpoints. I mean, as you
yeah,
know, we partner with the numbers. So there's Poly, there's Jabra, there's Yealing, EPOS. So we do have a lot of certified partners.
yeah.
And again, all of our partners have amazing devices. So make sure you check them out. In fact, I already posted the link on in step 2 for the Teams certified devices. So it's something really to check.
That's the Poly
Now,
P15. So I was just trying to show folks that's on your manifesto. You have a screenshot of that. Now, you do mention good lighting. There are some things that don't cost. I
step
guess
3.
Yeah.
So we're still on the endpoint side. So step 3, and this should be pretty straightforward for everyone who's been working from home for a while now. So make sure you invest in a webcam or a setup like that allows you to be, for example, to have eye level and with the camera, because you don't want to be looking down or you don't want to be looking up. So right now I'm standing, so my desk here is ergonomic, so I just lift it. But again, if you're seated and you're in meetings, make sure you kind of have the camera at eye level. Don't be too close, don't be too far. Have a less cluttered environment. Use backgrounds, especially if you have a cluttered environment. Use those virtual backgrounds. And in some
What do you mean?
cases,
You're not in the office there? Thought you were in your
yeah,
conference room at home. Look at that.
I wish, man. Like we're not back yet. So the other thing is on the blurring side, like sometimes some people actually, and this is something here to mention, some people like the blurring, and it's about inclusivity. But some people actually have issues focusing if you have a cluttered environment or a noisy environment. So sometimes this blurring feature, I know it's simple, but might help someone who has like focus issues. In addition, the blurring also helps in preserving some bandwidth because again, it's only taking your picture and this is as well with the virtual background because then you're not really sending the entire frame.
Great tip. Great
Okay.
tip.
Yeah. On the audio side, just want to also mention something here. What I showed at the P15 and our certified devices, but at the same time, we do have some software enhancements inside Teams. So even if you don't have any certified device, which is not something I recommend, but anyways, so we do have some software noise block. If you want to pull up the
Well, I've got your manifesto. It's pretty much bookmarked 5 times. So, yeah. So I read in here. Of course, there's automatically adjust your microphone, which helps with the gains going up and down in case you're moving in and out. But there's also, I believe, noise suppression.
Yes, exactly. And this is software based, as I mentioned. And right now it's set up to auto, which is what I highly recommend. You have it auto, but if you are in an environment with a lot of noise, make sure you turn it on. Like make it, yeah, exactly what Denzel is doing right now. So we do have integration with software that can provide this experience. Now, the other one I also want to mention is in case you want to pass on music, or in case you're playing an instrument, or you want this high fidelity sound music to be kind of passed in your call or in your meeting. So make sure you there's another toggle. Yeah, exactly here, enable high fidelity audio mode. So Denzel do have it.
I've just turned it on, and I think folks who will watch this can hear you change your voice.
Yeah,
I think I should have had that on when I started this call. Should we do this again?
this is,
No. All right.
by the way, this is a newer version of Teams you're running, because in GA we don't have that feature yet, like in that location. We do have it though under settings, you can enable
Got
it,
it. Got it.
but we don't have it on the Teams portal, on the meetings portal.
Gotcha. I found it
Yeah,
both in my settings, and I'm also finding it conveniently located inside a meeting because I
exactly.
may or may not need this mode, and I think that would be great user experience for folks. Hey, but listen, you could have a Ferrari, but if you don't have a highway, you know, so maybe
Absolutely.
talk about that, second thing or fourth step here. Like you can be going, in a fancy car
Yeah,
with a
so now,
headset.
exactly, yeah, exactly. So now we're kind of done on the endpoint side. So from a connection standpoint, so there are two things we need to double check. So the connection to the internet and the
Right.
connection to the Microsoft 365 cloud, where Teams is kind of hosted. So to start off on the internet side, like you can run really generic internet tests. Like for example, fast.com has one. The one in the
I
checklist
like that
is
one.
the Ookla. Yes. And then there's other applications even on your smartphone that you can download, and they do those internet tests. And really the two metrics that I'd like to focus on are
Hmm.
bandwidth and latency. Now, as a primer, I
These are
know
big
probably,
words. Bandwidth,
yeah,
latency. I just would need to connect to my next meeting, talk to my customer. You threw up some heavy words in it. Can you just kind of like simplify what means bandwidth, what is latency?
sure, yeah. So bandwidth, think about it as a pipe, where it's like your internet pipe. Now, the closest analogy I always give, think about it as water coming to your home. If you have a water pipe coming in and you have different faucets, think about those as different ways you're consuming the internet. Say you have your kid using Netflix, or you say you have I don't know, your wife browsing the internet or watching a YouTube. So each one of those endpoints is consuming part of this bandwidth. So
Okay.
the more devices you have on a network, okay, say at your home or on a coffee shop, wherever you are, the less bandwidth you're going to have. But bandwidth in general, it's the amount of data that you're transferring over the wire or over wireless, wherever you are, to hit the internet. And the internet,
Okay.
by that I mean, if we go to a bit like the network, the internet design, it moves from tier 3 to tier 2 to tier 1. And probably what you have at home is a tier 3 connection
Hmm.
that one of your service providers is offering you to connect to the IXP, which is the
Got it.
Internet Exchange
Got it.
provider, which is a tier 2.
So what would
You
be
have
some better tips for a good internet? And I'll follow up that way. So getting the best internet means the best meeting experience too then, or am I still
Oh, it's a great point. And this comes to, there are two questions here. So getting the best bandwidth doesn't guarantee you're going to have the best connection to the Microsoft 365 cloud. Because again, latency is the other aspect which I haven't covered, which is the amount of time it takes those packets to reach the server, which in our case is where the Teams meetings or calling is hosted, and then come back. Now,
right?
for calling actually one-on-one, we do media optimization. It's sometimes it might be direct, like the media different than the signaling. It's a lot of details there. I won't go over that. But to answer you, a few tips that can improve your internet connectivity at home. One is make sure you're wired. I mean, again, simple things. Make sure you're wired. Make sure if you are wireless, use 5 gig instead of 2.4. Be close to the access points because distance matters. The farther you are, the lower the signal is. And then if there are a lot of people at home, it's probably you're draining this internet more, so less people is better.
Right.
The last part here is cluttered environments. The less noisy the environment is, the better it is for your connection, because a lot of those things actually absorb this wireless connection and make it attenuated.
Okay, so I was gonna give you a heads up. I'm not sure if you have a meeting coming up, but I have one in about 15 minutes. So we're gonna go through the next few steps. So perhaps you could walk us through step 5 through 10 and see how you folks can be a rock star. So let's talk about this step 5 that you talk about. Test your M365 connection. You can see my network connection has that. What would you call this?
Yeah, you're getting
Latency.
some bad network. So Denzel,
Yeah.
I know why, because I haven't showed you this before. Like I should have walked you through this before. Now you know. So next time, make sure you test this internet connection and the
Okay.
M365 connection before you join this meeting. Again,
Okay,
this is
that's
part of
interesting.
the checklist. I mean, you never asked me why the checklist manifesto, why the title.
Well, you're gonna tell me, but you've got some great tips. So why a manifesto?
So,
Why do people
so
need
it's
a
actually,
checklist?
yeah, it's actually inspired by a book by Atul Gawande. And the book talks about the importance of checklists to demystify like human error. Because if you think about it, we're all prone like to doing error for complex tasks. Now,
I
this is
agree.
not a complex task, and it's not supposed to be. But
I'm
what I
ready to
would
blame my internet provider. I'm ready to blame Teams.
yeah,
I'm
but
blaming everybody but myself.
yeah, but exactly. But what I really recommend is if you have this important meeting and you want to ensure you have this high quality, make sure you go over those steps, because then you're tilting the odds to your favor. There's nothing bulletproof, but this will help you achieve a better connection. So now just to continue with the list, we're at step 5. What is the M365 connection? The
Yes.
M365 connection, it's a link. You can go through it, connectivity.office.com. It's not only limited to Teams, but it tests your entire connection to the M365 cloud. So as you know, the Microsoft is not only focused on collaboration. I mean, we have tons of products ranging from Exchange to SharePoint to OneDrive, and truly the Microsoft Global Network is global. And this gets a lot of advantages because once you hit it, this is where you get this zero latency, zero jitter. I mean, Microsoft has invested millions, billions even of dollars in this network. It's like terabit connection, dark fiber, you name it. It's the best network that you can ever imagine, and everything is connected through links ranging like from for the entire world. So just to cover something here, that what the result will get you, it will get you the closest front door. This is where you're going to be connecting to a transport relay, and this is really where the connection hits from the global network, which will take it to the data center. So the
Got it.
closer you are to those transport relays, the better your connection is going to be, because then you're going to be riding the Microsoft global network.
Awesome. So now that I've done my checks there, I'm moving on. It looks like we can do a test call. Usually I call my friend or someone at work and say, is it working? But, I see that you can do a test call here as well, right inside
Yeah,
this.
I mean, that's definitely the beauty of Teams here. It's under devices. If you go under devices, you can see you can make a test call, or you can issue the command. I don't know if you have Teams open.
Yeah, I don't, but I think it's slash test call.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Anyways, so you can do this test call, and you will directly hear yourself and see yourself, and it's a really quick way to gauge your experience at that point. So anyway, so where we are now, we did our endpoint checks, we did our network checks, and now it's time for us to join. So
Correct.
step 7, 8, 9 are more troubleshooting. And you might ask me, why would I need to troubleshoot, or why would I need to monitor?
Well, I'm going
Think
to go
about
back to
this.
the car, right? Like when I'm in my car, there are lights coming on. Fill me up is one frequent one that comes up, or blinker fluid if I'm not, giving my indication.
Yeah, exactly. So think about those as your dashboard. So now you're in a meeting, and this is where you can know what is the issue. Is it coming from your end? Is it like a network issue? Is it I don't know, is it coming from the other end? So this really helps you gauge how your connection is going. So 4 metrics to focus on, and they're all under call health. The first one I really check. So now we can do actually steps 7, 8, 9 together, because they kind of share the same.
How about I bring up the call health for this meeting?
Yeah,
Is
then we
that
go over them.
that would
Of
be
course.
something we could do, right? So if you don't mind, I'm
Yeah,
just gonna
let's
click.
do that.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see how much Rockstar is happening for me here. Okay, so let me zoom into call health, and you can maybe help me understand.
Yeah, so let's start with the network. Yeah, let's start with the network, and this is where I really like to start. So if you press on network.
So I click on the more network. Okay.
Perfect. So if you look at your connection, so you're sending, this is your upstream, it's 35 megabits per second, and you're downloading 20 megabits per second. Wow, man, that's amazing. Amazing.
Is it good?
This
Okay.
is way higher than our recommendation. So we recommend for best performance, it's all published on our website, 4 megabits per second. So now you're coming at 30, which is way higher. So that's great. No, but if you go back, just want to highlight a few things on that. So latency is the round trip time, which is 77 milliseconds, which is great because what we recommend is less than 200 milliseconds and zero packet loss. Amazing. Now, a couple of things to mention about that is that Teams actually adapts to your network conditions. So if you have a lower bandwidth connection, Teams will end up making the call. However, your quality will degrade. So you won't be coming, for example, at HD, you might be coming at a lower resolution. Same for audio, same for everything. So, but again, like the more you have, the better it will optimize to your performance. Second thing I want to say about network, it's always the first thing I check whenever I hit issues. Because if I know my network is good, that means probably the other end has the issue and it's not coming from my end. Okay,
awesome.
So it's always a good tip to
now
start
I've seen
with.
you've shared a table so people can look at these values, right, and understand what it would be. My personal request to Microsoft would be just put some color in that health. Red is bad, green is good.
Exactly.
I would love to get better experience. We're not all rocket scientists like yourself, Hikmat.
So now if you go over, just want to tell you a couple of things on the audio and video, couple good metrics to focus on. On the audio, it's really good to check on the audio side. Yeah, this one. It's good. I mean, send packets is more informational. Again, there's the latency, there's the jitter, and then it shows the codec being used. So Satin here wide, which is really full band, which is amazing. It's like the best one. Zero packet loss and received jitter. Jitter should be less than 30 milliseconds. It's important to track that too. If you go under video,
if jitter is more than 30, do I sound like a robot? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, you might, but yeah, exactly. I mean, jitter will definitely affect your sound.
So that's to tell the family get off the internet. Is that?
Exactly. So and there you go under video, because the other thing on video, one important metric other than the bandwidth side.
I've turned off my video. I'm using Screenshare with you, so none of the metrics are available.
Yeah,
so if metrics are not there, you're not sending. Okay.
I know why, but the thing I really want to focus on is the frame rate. Because as you know, we humans, we see frame rates at between 24 to 30 frames per second. But what's really, whenever you get lower frame rates, you're gonna see the video being choppy. And then there's this lagging experience, which is okay, so you just turned it on. You see you're coming at 30. Now it is adaptive too. So it starts slow, then it picks up depending on your video speed and your internet and so forth. And this is same for screen sharing. Okay, so make sure you track this frame rate.
So screen sharing is what I'm doing right now. So that I could see. So hopefully you're enjoying this meeting in 30 frames.
And I am, from my end, it looks great. So 1080p, full HD, 30 frames per second, so no lag. Even when you're screen sharing, I can see it same like a video feed. Your send bitrate is 3 megabits per second, which is great. Amazing metrics for this meeting. So again, good ways to gauge the quality of the meeting through that panel. And the last step here I have, if you go through the step 10.
Okay, I'm going through it. Whole layer, my scrolling. Okay.
Yeah, the last step 10. To contact your IT administrator. Now, at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, it's something that probably is out of your control too, but if you keep on experiencing issues, it might be something else. And what we really do is on the backend side, on the Teams admin center, we're collecting a lot of data, like a lot of analytics, depending on how you're joining, which endpoint, what microphone, the network, like all this information is stored in the backend in CDR records. And whenever you're experiencing tons of issues, it would be wise to connect to your IT admin and ask him to pull up those records and see, maybe he can assess or help you gauge what is really going on. So that's it. I mean, in a nutshell, those are the 10 steps. It's like before, during, after. You can look at it this way. Make sure you check those metrics, and if everything is good, it's again the analogy I have is same like a pilot. You know, when a pilot takes off, he's actually doing a checklist. He's checking everything, and then
Right.
if he's all good, it's time to take off. Same in the
Hikmat,
teams.
thank you so much for walking people through your checklist. Folks, you can read this whole article or you watch this video, but you can see some of the examples he's demonstrated that can help you take your teams to another level, be a rock star, join with confidence. Hikmat, it's been a pleasure. See you again or in the next meeting. Thanks for
Yeah.
joining.
Have a good day. Take care. Bye.
You too. Bye now. All right, so we thank Hikmat for that, and
Did you
I
stop
will.
recording?
Oh, not yet, but you just said that in the recording. I'm stopping the recording now. See you guys later. Bye.